With the new season 31 officially started and everyone is starting nearly at the same level, yeah, the epic glory is back again, guys. You must be wondering, how can I escape this hell ASAP? Worry not, because Kazuki Sensei is here. Make your journey smoother. Hi guys, Kazuki here, and in this video we will discuss the top 15 best heroes to solo rank up in the current season 31. Before starting this list, one key point I would like to add is heroes who are highly skill dependent like Fanny, Ling, Joy and Gushan will always be good no matter what and can be played by guys who have mastered them. Let's start the list with the number 15 position holder, Spearboy Moscow. Moscow is actually pretty decent now after the recent cooldown reduction changes made to him. And we all know about how fast he can rotate around the maps as long as you know how to use his ultimate properly. His late game capabilities are known to everyone, and once fully equipped with items, he is going to hurt a lot, trading HP like it's nothing, which he is known for. To ability to carry the game solo in the later stages of the game if you know how to farm well and use his skills nicely. Just come hand in hand.
Bye, have a great time.
A few moments later.
Sorry.
There are few things you need to keep in mind before spamming him in ranks. Do not be that low IQ guy and try to fight everyone head on before getting at least 2 core items. Use your ultimate often and make sure to see its progress not by dragging the map, but through his preview panel to calculate as well as to be aware in the game. Not always the same builds work, so learn to juggle between items like Sea Halberd, Rose Gold Meteor and Wind of Nature. And make sure to note this build down to level up your gameplay. At number 14, we have Granger. Another marksman, but this is a jungler marksman. You can opt for lanes, but it is not recommended as he truly shines in the jungle. Granger's game style requires you to be safe in maintaining distances, knowing when to chase and when not to, and bursting heroes out rather than dealing continuous damage and peeling the enemy out.
Target locked.
He has relatively good jungle clear capabilities, and once he hits that power spike of level 4, he can start hunting those squishy heroes out. I would recommend waiting for your first item before trying to snowball enemies to secure those finishes more easily, as he gets a good power spike in the early to mid game. Do not try to drag the game out with Granger, and once you are good enough with him, you can do those 8 to 13 minutes finishes. Take it from former Granger Global, learn to prioritize your first item on Granger. If the enemy has good burst potential heroes, then opt for Brute Force Breastplate as your first item to get extra defense stats and movement speed bonus, which fits perfectly with his game style. Or penetrating items like Hunter Strike if the enemy has lower damage output but the tanky heroes to start hitting them hard before they can hop on those defense items. Here is your recommended build from former Global Granger. At the number 13th, we have Loverboy Lancelot. Our Loverboy is still got the guts and will solo carry you in your endeavor of this hellish journey. His damage output is always as high as before. And we all know about this. One of the most slippery heroes in the game, as well as the go-to choice for all the single guys wanting to impress their in-game crushes. In this hellish journey of solo queue, keep these things in mind to have the maximum advantages. Tank slot is good for higher ranks, But for me now, Damage Lens should be your go-to. He can easily delete those backlines by diving with his multiple blinks and budge them out easily with the damage build. Keep in mind to maintain your stakes to even deal more damage with your already high damage basic attacks. Here's the build to use and woo your crushes towards you. The 12th position will belong to Xavier. Satoru Gojo is back in the top tier heroes list. Oh, sorry, our Gojo sensei. I mean Xavier is back again to carry our solo gaming life. Use him to turn around the tides of the battle. And yes, the global kill stealing ultimate to not let your enemies take a single breath of peace. In the previous adjustments, his skill damage is back again, taking half of his HPs out of the equation within seconds. The only thing you will need to keep in mind is positioning with heroes like him. Watch this video to know how pros maintain their positions. The second thing you need to keep in mind is his power spike and skill combos. He gets a decent power spike when the game transitions into the late game. And we all know solo queue matches just be longer than other matches. His combos is very easy to use and requires perfect timing. So if you are looking for a good mage to rank up, he's your safe bet. This will be his build to go full berserk bond. The 11th position is reserved by Ital. For the third straight month, she remains in our top heroes list. Her ability to move while dealing tons of damage is still unmatched. Whenever faced against good chase type heroes, opting for Ital will make sure you can do those quick maneuvers to safety and deals a ton of AoE damage to multiple heroes while keeping your distance from them because of her high range. She has the ability to turn around teamfights easily if she remains unmarked in the fight and is arguably very easier to maintain positions as an MM. The new item Great Dragon Spear also fits her well and adds even more mobility to this already mobile hero. Use this movement speed advantage and rotate around lanes and farm faster. Try to keep one survival spell according to the team composition of enemies. Here is a build for her to completely destroy your enemies. On number 10 comes with another MM Bruno. Our in-game Neymar Jr. is always ready to get you out of the epic hell with his footballing skills. Despite facing a nerf on his damage, his football still hurts a ton if you know how to use his passive well. He sure doesn't have that crazy early game damage like earlier, but once scaled up, he's no joke to be messed up with. He also comes in beginner friendly heroes and doesn't require hundreds of matches of practice to be best played. Not banned that much, he's easily available to use and can be spammed all the way to the top. With the recent changes to House Close, he's better equipped with crit and attack speed build now than the true raw damage build from Endless Battle and Blade of Despair like earlier. So my footballers use this build to dribble through the battlefield easily. Let's move on to the number 9th position, which is Dyro. Dyro in the recent buff got the one thing he needed the most, which is CC immunity on his ultimate. You can finally cast his ultimate in peace, which is such a relief. His second skill also deals a great amount of damage and shreds armor, which is perfect for ranking up and winning in a solo queue, as you can melt tanks. He also has decent sustain thanks to his passive. You can aid more sustain if you build War Axe on him. Dyro is also a wonderful counter for all the tanky junglers in this meta. So he is just a meta counter which gives more of a reason to pick him. For the tip, I always recommend that whenever you are playing as Dyro, always cut the lane and get to level 2 as soon as possible. Because you can easily bully almost every EXP laner with Dyro because of your second skill. If you choose the jungle route, start frontlining in the late game because you can bring some great utility for your team. For me, Dyro is always going to be a solid hero, whether he is on this list or not. You can always pick him. Here are the suggested builds and emblems. Just like Dyro, our number 8 position, which is Sicilian. Sicilian is always going to be a solid hero, no matter the meta, because of his staking mechanic. In the early game, you have to just farm your stakes, and in the late game, all you have to do is delete people. He is great pick for almost all the ranks. He will struggle a bit in the higher ranks, but in lower ranks, you should be fine. Whenever you are picking Sicilian, always remember to ban heroes who are single target and catch you off guard easily. If you are against a hero who can easily single you out and take you down, just buy the lower tier defense item for your counter. Example, buy Dreadnought armor for a saber or a silence robe for Gushan. You should be fine for the most part. Always keep your positioning perfect, especially in the early game, and never just waste your ultimate. Always use it at the right time. Here are the suggested builds and emblems. Let's move on to our next hero, which will be Zhong at number 7th. Another hero with a solid pick who is very solid in the current meta. He sure got the boost again after the Borex. Mr. YZ can rank up and can win almost every matchup in the EXP lane. He also can 1v5 if he can take down multiple enemies with his combo. He is your go-to if your team needs a large AoE and CC. For the tip, the amount of enemies you hit is equal to the amount of damage you heal up. There are ways you can stack up almost in just one skill. Just cover more minions and take fights in a crowded area. Here are the suggested builds and emblems. Let's move on to our next hero, who will be Khed in number 6th place. Khed of course will be at very high place in this meta of sustained fighters. With the buff of his skill 1, he can activate his passive very fast. And his sustain and damage reduction on the second skill is lovely, which of course is very useful. And his ability to heal himself without going to the base is extremely good. And his ultimate is crazy good CC, which can trap almost everyone in the CC of his ultimate. For the tip, Khed being a strong EXP laner, try to hold your lane as much as possible, as there are only a few heroes that can win against him in the early game EXP lane. His passive has a great movement, but also slow enemies when you hit them with your enhanced basic attack, which is perfect for chasing enemies down. Here are the suggested builds and emblems. Now we are in the top 5, and at number 5 we have Brody, which just goes to show how effective of a gold laner he is. Brody has a nice damage and great range, which almost makes him uncatchable. He also has a second skill, which lets him stun you and create space at the same time, which is really nice. I really don't think I have to justify putting Brody at number 5. So I will just get straight into the tips. For Brody, the more amount of stacks you have, the more damage you deal. So always maximize your stacks, which is nice. Brody has long range, so take advantage and move back whenever you use basic attacks. And whenever you see the enemy standing behind the minions, just use your skill 1 and voila, max stacks. Here are the suggested builds and emblems. I know it is criminal to put Nolan at number 5, but guys, just look at his ban rate. What's the point of not picking him easily? But since his ban rate is a solid 60 in all ranks, that means he stays open in some of the ranks. So you should definitely pick him up whenever you see him open. He is easy to use, he can't be caught and deals a lot of damage, which means he is of course going to be so high. For tips, I recommend you check this video out. I have covered almost everything you need to know about him, from combos to how to use everything in it. Here are the suggested builds and emblems. Now let's head on to the top 3. The bronze medal for being solid in this meta will of course go to Martis. So Martis secures the bronze like usual. He is a solid hero especially for solo queue. So we don't tend to see teams that work together so closely. So I do think Martis can easily exploit that and start snowballing. His kit is wonderful as he has CC immunity, a great ultimate, and a skill that can stop enemies from running away. For the tips, Martis is great in the early and starts falling off in the mid to late game. So you have to never let the game go to that super late game. If the game by chance goes to the late game, you have to always be in front line with some defense items and activate your ultimate and start going crazy. And don't go full damage on Martis. He might seem good in the early game, but in the late game, he just sucked. Here are the suggested builds and emblems. At number 2, we have Xborg. Xborg is broken. Don't trust me? Just go play him for a bit the way I tell you to play. Pick War X as your first item, then Immortality, then go build a Brute Force Breastplate, and at last build an Ice Queen Wand. Once your build is done, even tanks will die just trying to approach you because of the crazy true damage you will deal. Guys, it's honestly going to be infuriating to all the enemies you are going to go up against. Let your true damage meter fill up. Melting enemies is going to be piece of cake. Here are the suggested builds and emblems for you to dominate. And finally, at number 1, we have Balman. Who else can it be than Balman? After the revamp, he's just too broken. He's giving me the same flashbacks that Alpha did last season. My guy has everything in his kit. From CC immunity to true damage, he has everything. He might be even more broken than Alpha. Some tips for Balman would be he needs War X to start going crazy. Once you have your items, try to create that level gap and nobody will stop you. So guys, are you banning Balman? Will you be using the heroes from this list? What will be your rank goal this season? Comment down all your thoughts and opinions below. So that will be all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Keep supporting Kazuki Official.